When I was 16, my superior did something heinous to me that resulted in the birth of my biological child. Now 12 years later, that child wants to meet me, and everyone is telling me it's my duty as a father to let this child meet his real dad. Posted by a deleted user in 2025. When I, 28M, was 16, I was groomed and later SA'd, by today's standards, by my manager, 23F at the time. She became pregnant. Now, that child has reached out to me. It has gotten to the point where they are stalking me online. The mother contacted my girlfriend, who is rightfully upset. It feels like they have taken away our sense of safety. I've become paranoid in public. Everyone I've talked to about this, including my boss, who noticed my work has been slacking, has told me that I owe this child a meeting, that every child has the right to know who their parents are. I disagree. I wanted nothing to do with that child when I was 16 and still do not want to be involved. My girlfriend thinks if I met him, all of this would be over. I think they will want more from me. I feel like this makes me the jerk since I also never financially provided and most likely won't. I just want this to stop. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. This comment section is a mixed bag. Here's my take: lock down your entire online persona. Every single account. Set them all to private/friends only. Comb through your friends list and followers, and remove anyone you do not know personally. You want your entire online presence to be that of a silhouette, there, but difficult to see the details of. Make it as hard as possible for them to see any details about you, except for your name. I remember how it felt. Commenter 2. Not the jerk. If it's something you can't emotionally handle in person, then she has to accept it. You have the option of contacting a family lawyer for legal guidance. If there's no court order, then you don't owe any child support, but if the attorney sends a cease and desist letter, it could motivate them to go to court. Pressing charges for the assault could still be on the table, too. An attorney can answer a lot of your questions and hopefully put you a little more at ease. It's an unhappy situation that never should have come to be. Commenter 3. To be fair, the kid did nothing to anyone. They were brought into this world without their awareness, consent, or knowledge, whatever you'd call it. They didn't hurt you. Their mother did. That's probably what everyone is thinking when they're saying you owe them a meeting. I feel so bad for them, as I do for you. Both of you were forced into this situation. I was initially going to suggest you write them a letter detailing why you don't want to see them, but that would probably open up some massive self-hatred floodgates for them, being the result of such a crime. One thing I do want to say you owe them is that they do have a right to your and your family's medical history. It's also fine to say you do not claim them. But biologically, you are their father. That does not require you to claim them, it is just a scientific fact. You may need to do some accepting of that, just for you, as it sounds like you use that as a way to distance yourself from the assault. Nothing will ever erase what happened to you and the resulting trauma. But please don't, even solely in your own mind, project that trauma or anger onto the kid. They did nothing. They're not the criminal. Even if the kid did not exist, it would not change the past. Commenter 4. Not the jerk. The child is what, 10? 11? Tops 12? They aren't stalking you, their parent is. The child didn't reach out to you. The parent did. This is using the child as a lure or bait to reconnect for more coercive control. I would take out a restraining order against the mother, and I would point out that the child is evidence of SA, if this applies in your local legal situation. Clearly, it's best if she just screws right off. Commenter 5. Legally, not the jerk. Morally, kind of the jerk. Ethically, you're the jerk. She has destroyed 2 lives. The child is looking for guidance in becoming a man. You don't have to bond with him, but you do need to put together a medical history, for the purpose of questions later in life. Also, you wouldn't have to worry about future interactions. Have they contacted your parents? This is a tough one. My suggestion is to FaceTime for the first meeting and gauge it from there. A video call can be terminated quickly. Wish you luck, dude. Adds an edit to their post. To start, I was not, and still am not, in the right headspace to revisit trauma that occurred 12 years ago. I also know there are freaks who only want more details about the SA to wank off too. To clarify, I grew up in a Catholic household, the 4th child out of 12. Being born male meant that at 16, it was required by my parents that I get a job to help financially put food on the table. At 16, we, siblings, were taught abstinence until marriage, that any sexual act violates our body and breaks the trust and bond toward our future spouse in the eyes of God, which is why I never proposed to my girlfriend. We were never taught to not trust adults. Our parents failed to teach us about consent, power dynamics, and grooming tactics. I was a prime target. The grooming started with attention I liked, as I didn't get it at home. Positive affirmations about my work. Soon there were friendly lunches. I mean, to me, at 16, we were friends eating lunch together, nothing strange. She gifted me clothing, that's when I felt uncomfortable. The clothes stayed in my closet until one of my siblings started wearing them. Nobody in my household questioned where the clothes came from. I tried to make excuses as to why I couldn't be alone with her. I have too much work right now. Eventually, she called me into her office and asked if I knew the age of consent. I didn't. 16 is the answer. She admitted to being attracted to me. That if I was going to keep being a man and providing for my family, I would do as she instructed. I didn't say no or fight back. I was scared of losing my job. I was terrified of my parents finding out. I blamed myself for having my virginity stolen. We now know that cases of SA are difficult to prosecute. The victim's testimony is what matters most. I was male, so I had that against me. I didn't fight back or say no. Clearly, that means I wanted it, right? I wanted to brag to my peers. What peers? My siblings? Other children that attended the church? About bagging some hot 23-year-old that I worked for? Society 12 years ago viewed male victims differently than it does now. The guilt of sinning had eaten at me. I went to confession and told everything. I was told by the church to remain hushed. I was silent for 12 years. Now my parents know, and they resent me for denying them a relationship with their grandchild. My siblings want to stay away from their children. I asked my girlfriend for space so she wouldn't be a casualty in my crap trauma. My boss reached out and apologized for what he had said in the moment. He thought about it and realized he may have negatively affected me. He also offered to pay for my mental health care at a really nice facility he found that specializes in SA trauma. He reassured me that my job with his company is secure. I may take his offer. Reading some of these comments, I realized that I am not okay. I also reached out to my cousin's wife, a divorce lawyer. She says if I take any legal action, the outcome may not be what anyone wants. The word would get out, and that child will also be known as having a child rapist for a mother along with a dad who left them. She is preparing medical records to send over and a verbal warning about the online stalking. I don't know who is behind the screen, a tech-savvy 11 or 12-year-old wanting answers, or her using this opportunity to victimize me again. Either way, no matter what I choose, I will be considered the jerk with trauma, and that child will have some sort of trauma as well. Update 1 month 1 week later. The support I have received on my post was overwhelming. To find out that this post has been shared to Facebook, TikTok, and other media sites has me feeling so grateful. No words can describe how the comments helped heal that damaged 16-year-old. I had read some of the most beautiful replies from a variety of individuals, mothers, fathers, grandparents, expressing how much they wished they could have hugged and comforted me, since my parents and other adults in my life had failed me. Victims/survivors shared their experiences and related to how I felt, offering comfort and advice. Lawyers explained what steps I can take legally to protect myself. I have no words to describe the gratitude. Thank you, everyone, for the support. The most important part of this update is yes, the mandatory DNA test confirmed that the child is biologically mine. Since another man had legally adopted him, I am not obligated to pay child support. I also have a cease and desist order in place. My lawyer handed over my medical history. As for my personal life, I had more downs than ups. Starting with having to check out of the facility so the company I work for wouldn't fall behind. The temp that was hired could not keep up with the workload, and the option was to take my job back or be hired for a different position in the company at a later date. I still attend therapy sessions and found a therapist that I trust. My girlfriend is now an ex. She ended the relationship because she couldn't watch me self-destruct. I don't blame her. She is doing well, and her new boyfriend treats her great. I wish them the best. Since she left, I was able to downgrade my 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom. The apartment manager was very helpful and understanding. He even waived the pet fee since I also got a dog. She was found around the office and became the office dog before I took her home. We named her Tuna Can, and she is always welcome at the office for work. I am happy to have her as my companion. This is the rougher part of the update. My mother took it upon herself to trick me into seeing her at a restaurant, where she happened to invite the child as well. I walked out. I had made it clear in my letter that I sent with my medical history that I didn't want a relationship and listed my reasons. I explained that his existence is my trauma. I stated that I was not his dad and that I choose not to be. The man who adopted him is, and he's doing a great job. Since she did this, I cut my parents from my life. I do not need toxicity while I work on my mental and spiritual health. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I'm so sorry your mom is another predatory woman in your life. I'm so sorry this was put upon you at such a young age. I am proud of you, as a woman who could be old enough to be your mother, for sharing your medical history with the innocent child and for prioritizing your therapy. So if you take one thing away from this, please take this: you are more than what happened to you. You deserve more than what was shown to you. And I wish I could give you a giant mom hug right now. This took bravery and strength, and I hope one day you feel like you fully get your agency back, where people stop deciding things on your behalf. It's your turn for happiness now, and I hope it finds you soon. Commenter 2. The lawyer should give the child a letter that explains Op's version of events. Because it sounds like the bio mom and Op's own mother aren't admitting that what happened was SA. The child is 10 to 13 years old, which is a brutal time to learn this. But they need to stop thinking this is going to be some happy reunion if Op would just sit down and talk. Commenter 3. It's entirely on the bio mom for encouraging this, especially since she knows how the child came to be. Adult adoptees are warned repeatedly that if they decide to go looking for their birth parents, their stories may not be happy ones. They need to be ready to hear they are the products of assault, of incest, of abuse. It's a heavy burden and one that the person needs to be emotionally mature and prepared enough to handle. Throwing a 12-year-old at the Op is cruel to both of them. She's clearly an awful parent in addition to being an all-around awful person. That kid is going to eventually learn what happened, and the rapist mother will hopefully get everything she deserves as a result.